Hey, what's up, GameLeapers? This is Coach JIZZ, and in today's video, 10 best mid laners. That's what we're going to be talking about for patch 12.12, which hit the rift yesterday. So we will be breaking down, of course, who these champions are, but we're also going to give you the rune page, some of the spells, builds, everything you need to hit the ground running on these 10 broken mid laners for the next couple of weeks. And it's time for you to get that ball comfort as well, guys, with Manscaped's Boxer Briefs. These guys spent 2 years designing the most comfortable challenger tier boxers on the market, and from their labs to your balls, their new Boxers 2.0 are ultra soft, and they certainly make my package look even bigger. And because of these boxers, my balls have never felt better, so get around these as well. So the products that have been helping me print free LP this season, we have the star of the show, the lawnmower trimmer, and this bad boy right here is going to help you keep your bush in good shape, and thanks to its skin safe technology, it's going to greatly reduce the chances of you getting little cuts and nicks that can be annoying. Now, after you're finished with the downstairs region, you can move to your head and use the Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer so you don't look like Arvin in public. And to finish everything off, guys, you get the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and you also get the spray-on toner, which is going to give your ball bag a luscious fragrance at the end of this process. And guess what? Because us at Manscaped are so nice, we're also giving you a chance to get 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is head over to the Manscaped website, link down below, and use the code JIZZ, J-I-Z-Z. Do it for the nuts. Now we'll start with a champion who's a lot better in lower elo than he is in higher elo at the moment, but still, overall, Viktor is a great mid laner to pick. And perhaps one of the reasons why is because Viktor scales so well, so in the late game he's a very scary champion to run into, and because most people on this game are probably going to headbutt you, Viktor's value, I guess, in lower levels of play goes up. But another reason why Viktor is so good is because of the variety of mythics he can go. You can go Luden's Tempest if you're looking to hit as hard as possible. Maybe you're the only AP damage dealer on your team, but you could also go Liandry's Anguish if you're against a team that has a lot of HP, tanks, and bruisers, these type of team compositions, because the ability haste is super useful for you, because throwing out more death rage during those mid to late game team fights going to be really important, and the damage is going to add up. And pair Liandry's burn damage, even though it did get nerfed a couple of patches ago, with your own ultimate, the tick damage, if you will, from both of these combined, it can hurt a lot of champions, so Viktor comes in at number 10. Now, number 9 is a champion who most people aren't really playing in the mid lane, but they have to start doing so, and this is Seraphine, who's actually getting buffed in 12.12. So for Seraphine, your E's cooldown is now going to be a flat 10 seconds, and you're maxing your E last most of the time, if not all the time, which is great. This is a really nice buff, and also the CC duration in your E, so the slow, the root, this is up by 50%, so it's going from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. This is so good for Seraphine because you're playing mid lane Seraphine as a utility champion, so you want to empower your AD carry or jungler, so the extra CC, because this is pretty much utility, this is unreal. And a bit like Viktor, because you can go Liandry's Anguish, I mean, you should just be going in every single game. The ability haste you get from the passive is so useful because, again, you're about cooldowns, you're about throwing out spells, protecting your allies, and also providing the utility, which is what the CC buff is giving you, so you can enhance those champions around you. So Seraphine is number 9. Now, coming in at number 8 is the first attack damage champion on the countdown, and for Akshan in the mid lane with Kraken Slayer, even though the damage did get nerfed in 12.11, a little annoying, but for Akshan, you just have so much innate damage. Because of your passive and the 3-shot stacking, because of your heroic swing, even your Q, especially if you're going to max this, the damage you can deal, it can really add up, especially because the cooldown will be going down to 5 seconds at level 9. And from a couple of patches ago as well, if you follow Kraken Slayer with Blade of the Rune King, this is giving you more lifesteal now. And I guess we should mention that Akshan being an amazing roaming champion, because teleport has really been nerfed for the early game, Akshan is a great snowballer, and even during the late game, because you do deal a lot of damage, especially if you're ahead in the early game, you can still assassinate those squishy enemy champions wandering about the rift alone. So Akshan is number 8. But beating Akshan to number 7, well, it's a new kind of change champion, I guess, this being Swain, and I don't really think many people are going to argue about this, because Swain is kind of dominating in every single elo. Even though he might be a kind of short-range champion, unless the enemy champions dodge every single Nevermore or E you throw out, they always have to be on their toes, because if you land one of them, it can just win you the lane. And because the changes to Swain a few patches ago really buffed his innate damage, it makes him a lot stronger during the laning phase than some people might think. And when you pair Swain with Liandry's Anguish, of course, this combination, because of the tick damage he has in his kit, is deadly. And because you can follow Liandry's with Rylai's Crystal Scepter, which is only 2600 gold, really quick item spikes follow this with Azonius, also 2600 gold, so Swain is the 7th best mid laner, but he's beaten to number 6, well, by another Liandry's Anguish abuser, this being Anivia. And when the durability patch actually hit the rift, Anivia, to be honest, was the best mid laner. She had amazing amazing win rates, and the reason for this is because of her synergy with Liandry's. Pair this with her Glacial Storm, the tick damage, it is crazy how much damage over time you will deal. And because of the changes to Anivia way back in pre-season 11, so in like 10.25 I think it might have been, Anivia got some really nice changes, the big one being to her Frostbite, where the damage, the double damage, procs even if your Q clips an enemy champion. It doesn't even have to hit them full in the face for you to deal the extra damage. So that's one nice change, and also because your ultimate is on such a low cooldown in the later stages of a game. I mean, even at level 6, it's only on a 4-second cooldown if you get interrupted or you run out of range of it. So there's so much going for Anivia. Also, Archangel's Staff only costing 2600 gold. Ability Haste, stacking on top of your Liandry's Anguish ability haste, it makes Anivia a powerhouse at the moment in the middle of the rift. But a champion who is even more of a powerhouse, and it's just proving to be in terms of win rates at the moment, this is Sylas. And because of those buffs in 12.11, so your W is costing less mana. The W's minimum heal AP ratio went up. The cooldown also got reduced, as well as your E's cooldown getting reduced. These have pushed Sylas right to the top of the mid laners. Even though Everfrost got kind of a chunky nerf, so the root or the slow going down in terms of the CC duration to only 1 second, it means that you're probably not going to be able to land as many of your skill shots as you were before. But because your cooldowns have been reduced, ability haste is just massive for Sylas. It's what you're about, and because your scaling is so good anyway, this just empowers that. But a champion he might struggle against is coming in at number 4, this being Ahri. And ever since Ahri got changed earlier in season 12, she's just been a great all-around champion. There's nothing really else to be said. Even though she has been nerfed a few times since her changes hit the rift, she's still proven to be an excellent mid laner. You can pick her into any team composition. She might even be the best blind pickable mid laner still, because she really has no hard counters. I mean, Azir might be annoying, but not many people play Azir, and you can still get out of the matchup and do well. And because of the recharge in your Spirit Rush, which you can get from takedowns, because of the multiple charms and spells you can throw out during team fights if you go Lucidity Boots, it is still maintaining that S+ tier rating for Ahri, so that's why she's number 4. Now, starting off the top 3, guys, well, we kind of went through these in our 3 most broken champions video for each role, but just to reiterate, number 3 is Kassadin. Now, why is Kassadin number 3? Well, let's think about this. Scaling meta, durability meta. Why is it good for Kassadin? Because one could argue you are the nuts. When it comes to scaling in a game, who beats a level 16 Kassadin? Very few champions, if any. And because you're going to get to that stage in a game more often because of the durability buffs, because you're getting more HP, more armor, more magic resistance, your laning phase is more secure. So you can get out of the laning phase without being 0-5 all the time, especially against attack damage champions who you struggle against, and because mages are kind of strong at the moment as well. And I also mentioned in a previous video that Kassadin with Luden's Tempest is severely underrated because of those Everfrost nerfs. So the root, the slow duration going down, just like I mentioned for Sylas, doesn't make Kassadin with Everfrost as good. But with Luden's Tempest, trust me, the damage you deal, you will still one-shot people. Even in this meta, where champions are harder to one-shot, you can easily do it in the late game. The burst damage, the magic penetration, it is all too much to deal with, and once you have a Zhonya's in the late game, you will be unkillable as well. So Kassadin, number 3. But he's not actually the best mage in 12.12. The best mage for another patch, this is going to be Veigar. Now, why is Veigar so good if Everfrost got nerfed, just like I mentioned? Well, the reason for this is because his event horizon still provides so much, if not too much, to a team with a Veigar on it. Because you can lock down multiple enemy champions, because this then means your team can come in and clean up, because you have amazing scaling. Ever since Riot buffed your Q stacks towards the start of this season, Veigar not only has maybe too much utility, but also too much damage as the game progresses. And just like I mentioned for a bunch of these champions in this video, scaling is what it's about, and because you're a little bit tankier during the laning phase now, it's harder to kill you. So you can get to the mid to late game without running it, just like I mentioned for Kassadin. So Veigar is number 2. And by the way, guys, if you have any opinions about the countdowns and the champions we mentioned, of course, let me know in the comment section. Have we missed anyone out? Feel free to express your thoughts. But the number 1 champion, guys, for 12.12 in the mid lane, this champion, along with Akshan, is an AD champion, and this is Yone. And because the meta, once again, oh, I really don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to, it's scaling. It is about getting to 2 to 3 items. It's about getting to the late game without being useless. And guess what? Yone is certainly not useless in the later stages of a game. Once you get Shield Bow, Infinity Edge, Mortal Reminder, whatever it is you're building, Death Stance, it doesn't matter, to be honest. Build a Death Cap, you're going to take over games. Because the laning phase as well, that is the weakest part of your game. It is more secure. It's safer to play Yone. Gotta sound like a broken record for most of these champions, but that's just how it is, guys. That's just how the meta and how the Rift is playing at the moment. So if you are a mid lane main, you might have to think about retuning your champion pool for a bit until maybe the meta changes, because unless your champion is useful past level 11, I'd say you're going to have much less fun in 12.12, which is what these champions have in common, being good in the later stages of games. So those were the 10 best mid laners, guys, for 12.12. Let me know once again in the comment section. Agree, disagree, any thoughts you have. And if you do want these series to continue with the rune pages, the builds and all that, if you do enjoy it, please leave a like down below. It helps us out. And until our next season 12 upload, this has been Coach.